This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePay Resources. Welcome to the Payment Space.
I'm pleased to welcome Erika Baumann, Research Director at Datos Insights, to the Payments Space podcast brought to you by ePay Resources. This is being recorded live at NACHA's Smarter, Faster Payments 2024. I'm your guest host, Peter Davey, the Payments Jedi. Erika, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Peter. I'm really excited to be here.
So talk a little bit about who Datos Insights is and what's your journey been?
Absolutely. So most people probably know us as IT Group. That's our heritage name. IT Group has been around about 16, 17 years. We focus on all things in the financial industry space. So we made some acquisitions, went through some changes, and became IT Novarica Group and added to our insurance coverage. And then we had another party that joined us in RBR, which is a retail-based data company out of the UK. And we figured adding more hyphens at some point was not going to work. So now we are a family of brands, which is Datos Industries, that encompasses Heritage, IT, Novarica, and RBR.
Awesome. So you guys do a lot of different research across multiple spectrums, but I know that you're mainly focused in on the commercial payment space. As you think about some of the recent things that you've been looking at in the payments arena, what are some of the top insights that you can share with our listeners?
Yeah, so the team really is broad in their coverage. So I'm the director of the commercial banking and payments team, and we have a global team that covers everything from ERP integration to APIs, open banking, payments automation, the infrastructure piece, cards, so you name it. However a business is interacting with a financial services provider, whether that's their financial institution or if it is through a vendor, however a business is interacting, that's what we're looking at. So we do a lot of primary research, so of the end users themselves. So we do several studies every year of over 1,000 small businesses, over 1,000 large corps, getting to the heart of the voice of the end user, as well as a lot of bank surveys. So we take all of that and come up with a so what, right? What does this mean to our clients? What does this mean to the industry? And what is it that we're trying to evangelize? So these hot topics that come out of this, I mean, faster payments, as you know, is my baby. That's kind of my passion. So I'm looking at adoption. I'm looking at how do we move the industry forward? What are some lessons learned across geographies? But our entire team is looking at the hottest topics, including the ERP integration. And believe it or not, right now, a lot of banks are asking us about, oh my gosh, how do I improve my positive pay? There's all kinds of things happening where old is new again. We're trying to innovate. We're trying to take some of the stale products and make them more relevant, make them work better for the technologies that we have. And what I think is most exciting about all of that is the overlap, right? So you can't talk about open banking or APIs or ERP integration or even commercial cards without talking about the root of what's happening in the transformation of payments and how do all these things work together.
So as you kind of think about the journey for financial institutions, obviously, we've got a fairly good adoption of ACH. I mean, some would say near ubiquitous. Obviously, talking about positive pay means that there's still some opportunity within the industry to protect some of the accounts that are out there, especially on the commercial side. But many are just getting started on this whole real-time instant payments journey. We've only got some odd 700 financial institutions, which leaves probably about 8,000 financial institutions left to connect into these networks. What are some of the things that you think should be driving their need or urgency or adoption of these new instant payment rails?
That's a great question. So looking at the end user primary research, and I'm a bit of a data geek along with being a payments geek. So I have some of these numbers on the top of my head that I think about a lot, especially at conferences like this where I'm talking to a lot of people, listening to their views. One of the most, I think, outstanding data points to me is that 42% of U.S. businesses say they either have or will be leaving their financial institution for access to faster payments. That's a huge number. Now, to complement that, I've asked the banks, do you think that you're losing payments volume, not just to competitors? Do you think you're losing payments volume to fintechs? And 61% of banks say that they believe that they have already lost 10% or more of their payments volume to a fintech. And so then I asked them, well, what are you going to do about that? And it's kind of like, well, I don't know, right? My bottom line of my forecasting is not so far off. So when you piece all that together, what this means is we have a unique opportunity right now. We, post-pandemic, have been able to kind of etch-a-sketch our previous forecast, right? We've all kind of had this reset. And then we're in a time of market expansion. So we have net new payments. So for those that are saying, I don't know how to begin the journey, I don't know how important the journey is, looking at some of this end user data can be a little bit like, oh man, should my hair be on fire? The good news is your hair doesn't have to be on fire yet, but you have to know where you're going, because it's going to start to equalize. The businesses, they're not just stomping their feet and saying, well, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to go somewhere else. They actually are. So it's an opportunity to say, hey, this is important to the market. This is important to the industry. Does it mean legacy payments go away? Absolutely not. There's a place for everything to play, but not looking at this journey, it's really doing the end user a disservice, right? It's doing the small businesses that, can't open their doors because they have liquidity issues that could be looking at just-in-time payments. I mean, there's so many rabbit holes we could go down. The good news is it's not too late. The other good news is it's so accessible. This journey is, you can get there, right? I think a lot of FIs just have to get over that hurdle of, do I really have use cases? Do my businesses really need this? Am I going to get the ROI? Once you get past some of those initial hurdles and get that senior leadership buy-in, it becomes much easier at that point.
Yeah, I've always said you can be a payments company without being a bank, but you can't be a bank without being a payments company. And I think for the longest time, financial institutions really have missed the payments portion of it, knowing that you actually have to help your customers move money. I think it's super interesting, the research that you've done, talking about the fact that businesses are leaving. They are finding other alternatives that their financial institution can't match. So that kind of brings the question around, the fintech versus bank, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of conversation across the industry. Fintechs are taking some business, but it seems like fintechs need banks in order to succeed. So as you kind of think about the journey for fintechs and financial institutions, how should they be looking at partnering together?
That's a great question. I really like talking about this. There's a couple reasons. So we track the percentage of businesses that are working with fintechs. In 2021, that volume or the percentage was less than 30%. In Q3 2023, that number is about 68%. So that doesn't mean that all things banking has moved to the fintechs. What it means is there are really savvy businesses out there of all sizes that have said, hey, I can augment what I'm doing by utilizing a fintech for something that they're really, really good at. So it's both a blessing and a curse to the banks, right? So they still need banks on the back end. The financial institutions that have been really adept at understanding that have had more market share and market opportunities to gain in that respect. But the other dynamic on this is that sometimes banks are not realizing. So a business still has an operating account. They still have positive pay. They're still running some transactions. They have trust accounts, whatever that might look like. But some of that core value-added service has actually walked out the door, and that's what they're negligent to understanding. How do I track this? How do I find it, et cetera? So then what do you do, right? So it's about finding the right partnerships. It's about embracing the fintech ecosystem within the financial institution to bring that ecosystem to your clients. You can't be everything to everyone. So where can your financial institution partner with a fintech that brings some of those value-added services that you ingrain yourself into the ecosystem instead of being a completely separate part of it? I think that's really important to think about.
So as I mentioned, we're at Notch's Smarter, Faster Payments Conference. What are some of the topics that are piquing your interest right now?
So obviously, I've been all around the faster payment conversations. I have had several conversations with vendors over the last few days that concerned me a little bit in that, they're saying, hey, my bank clients aren't really seeing a lot of urgency. I think it's the job of the vendors to be presenting that urgency, right? When we look at the faster payment conversations, we think about being at Notcha 5, 6, 7 years ago or even longer when people were saying, hey, is this even a possibility? Are faster payments really going to happen? And then you look at where we are on our journey as an industry, I feel like the end users are farther ahead than where some of us are thinking, us collectively as an industry, right? So some of the things that I'm hearing, I think are beginning to recognize some of that. How do I make all these things work together? How do I remain relevant, and that's really where we try and play and evangelize in the market is this is how you remain relevant. These are the things you need to be thinking about. You don't have to be all things to all people today. The main thing is there's more people here this year. People are excited about payments. They're investing in payments. And at the end of the day, someone has to get that spend, right? So when we look at the market holistically, the corporates are spending, the banks are spending. The more fintechs that enter the market, it's just signaling that there is money and market share to go around. So I think it's fantastic. The whole exhibit floor has been a buzz the whole time. It's been a great conference.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Erika. I really appreciate it, and have a great rest of the conference.
Thanks for having me, Peter.